We've got a problem. Here's our lovely pasture filled with all sorts of animals. And then here's a road that separates our pasture from our house. Trouble is, there's no water over here. There's no power over here either. All the power's over here and all the water's over here. Which means, how do we water livestock out here in this pasture? So down here in the bottom of the field, it's kind of hard to see on camera, but it's actually a pretty steep incline up to the house. You can just barely see the roof line of the house. So we've got the ability to drop water from the top of the field down into the field. If you remember this other video up here, I created like a rain shed kind of thing, which is basically a small roofed structure that has a guttering system that flows down into, these are giant IBC totes that have just covers over them. And then all three of those IBC totes are plumbed together so that they all drain together and they all fill together. All of these things are running off an IBC tote with a kind of a screw on. Actually, for this one, there's just fern coat tees and a stop down here, and then they're just plumbed into 2-inch PVC, so it keeps the water at 2 inches wide the whole time, which helps reduce friction. And then when you get here to the end, skip this for now, there's a little hose here that's just a piece of trash garden hose. I can turn that on and just get water right here up at the tanks if I need it. It's not very high water pressure, but it doesn't need to be. The main thing is this little guy right here. This is a 1-inch piece of black plastic pipe, black poly pipe. Just got some at Home Depot or Lowe's. And that runs downhill into the pasture. Here's where that pipe comes to. Basically, I've just stuck this here with a very simple coupling that has this large quarter turn on the top of it, and then a 90-degree on the end. So turn this, and you can kind of see how much water pressure I've got coming here. It takes about 20 seconds to fill a 5-gallon bucket. So that was, I guess, roughly 20 seconds or so to fill a 5-gallon bucket. So 20 seconds, 5 gallons, it's 15 gallons a minute, unless I'm doing my math wrong, which is very possible. I was an art student, so I don't know these things. What we did find out here is if I ran a hose down from that rain shed up there, ran it downhill here, just a garden hose, there was so much friction in the line, so much friction of water, that it would just trickle out the end. And when one of my kids would come out to water a cow or the sheep, they would put the hose in the end of a 5-gallon bucket or the end of the cattle trough, turn it on, and walk away because they got so bored. And I would come back the next day and the entire tanks, all 3 tanks were drained. So it's a very practical consideration. Getting enough water pressure out of these tanks really quick that a kid can come out here, fill water, and not get bored waiting for it to fill and just go on and do their jobs is actually, it saves your butt a lot of times. It's also just super gratifying when you're out here in the pasture and for years you've had no water out here and you've been hoofing 5-gallon buckets of water out to the animals, to suddenly be able to do this. So we've got 2 rain sheds out here. The one up here behind me that I'm hanging out at its tap down here. And there's another one over here up on the crest of that hill. Sorry, just in there. Both of them have the same setup where they're feeding on a 1-inch black poly pipe down into the field. And each of them is 100 feet long. So that's 100 feet down and 100 feet back that you don't have to walk when you're doing chores, which is it's a big deal. It's also really nice that the water we have out in this pasture is very resilient. It's not dependent on city water. It's not dependent on electricity. It's not dependent on all of the utilities functioning. It's not dependent on government. It's not dependent on anything but God. If the water shuts off, it's because he didn't send rain, and that's it. So it's a much more, I feel like it's a much more resilient way of providing water. And we have a number of these rain sheds kind of around the property, building up water reserves around the property from either rain sheds or gutters off buildings. And it's just a good way to have a lot of water where you need it, out here in the pasture especially. Is there some way cooler method of having the water be, say, in a tub with a float valve, and maybe put a whole bunch of little anchor access points along the way? Yeah. I'm sure there's way better ways to do this. But right now what I'm trying to do is run the pipe downhill to where I think I need it. And over time, I'll figure out maybe where I should bury the line. It's kind of a pave the cow paths kind of thing. I don't want to bury it and then find out I buried it in the wrong place. I want to figure it out. How do I want to use this system? And then in the future, maybe add another 100 feet of line on each of these and add multiple access points. There's really cool things where you can just plug a hose in and it immediately clips the hose. And I think Greg Judy has some good information on that kind of stuff if you're interested in that. I'll see if I can put a link to that in the description. But he's got a lot of cool videos for doing water on small acreages with little access points and that sort of thing. But right now I'm just trying to figure out what in the world I want to do and make it a little bit more usable and get my water pressure up. So that's my main goal. As always, just try something. Gratuitous kitty.